A very short history of why I hate buses. A very short history of why I hate buses. Ron Gilbo.
I was 10 years old, living in Montreal, Canada. I was going to take a bus from Montreal to Portland, Maine. It's about 300 miles. However, I was very nervous, not because of the distance, but because I was a smuggler. I had 3 bars of Canadian chocolate with me, and I was afraid at customs they were going to discover this. And being a fan of black and white movies, I was afraid I would end up in some black and white prison, suffering until I was an old man for being a smuggler. So the bus leaves Montreal, heads to the border, and it's slowing down as we come to the customs. And I'm getting very nervous. I'm 10. I don't know what's going to happen. I take the candy bars, the chocolate bars, put them under the seat, and I sit on them, figuring if we can't see them, we're going to be okay. What I didn't know was how long it would take at customs. For some reason, they thought this busload of Canadians must have been terrorists or smugglers or something. It took a long time. Finally, we were through customs. I was breathing a big sigh of relief, and I pulled the candy bars out, and they had melted.
Oh.
And I was kind of crying. I mean, boys aren't supposed to cry, but I was kind of crying. At that time, there was a thump. The bus had hit something. Apparently, it was a skunk. And the skunk had become lodged in place where the air intake for the air conditioning was. And the bus started to smell pretty bad. And people saw that I was crying and thought that maybe I was affected by the skunk, not realizing it was my relief at not being arrested for being a smuggler, but in fact, for the ruination of my Canadian chocolate, knowing that in the United States we'd only have Hershey's chocolate, which is edible. So that's how my entry to the United States happened. It was 10 years before I could get on a bus again. I was so traumatized. Now I'm 20. I'm living in Portland, Maine, which is a wretched place. It's got snow and rain and black flies and mosquitoes and bugs, and it's too hot and too humid and too cold. And I was smarter than that, and I bought a ticket on a bus to go to California. Now, you would think I would have known better after this experience when I was 10, but 10 years had passed, I was mature, and the bus ticket was cheap. It was $70. So, onto the bus I went. I had my sleeping bag with me, not that you could use it in the bus. I had my pack. Off I went. And somewhere into Massachusetts, I asked the bus driver, how long does it take to get to California in a bus? Oh, about 4 days. 4 days! I had not thought of that. It would have been a good time to have invested in deodorant. In Pennsylvania, and this is the fall, it's supposed to be becoming cooler, nice leaves, changing color. In the fall, in Pennsylvania that year, there was a heat wave. And as this modern, beautiful, comfortable, luxurious bus trundled through Pennsylvania, it was going through some little town of nowhere, Pennsylvania, when it summarily broke down. Tonk. So here we are at the bus station. The bus is broken down. The people are all standing around. It is hotter than Hades. And apparently the other buses have been breaking down in this heat wave. And there are no spare buses. But somehow the bus guys figure out that there's a bus, like, I don't know, in the bus museum. Some old bus that they round up from the 40s. You can imagine this kind of thing with the windows kind of stuck shut and no air conditioning, and this was our bus. And we got on, and it was really, really hot. And let's say that I was kind of wishing we hit a skunk because it would have smelled better than I did as we drove through Pennsylvania on to Chicago. In Chicago, we changed into a regular bus and things became better. But there was a couple of experiences that left their mark on me. One was, if you travel in a bus for a long time, you'll discover that the people who use buses are not exactly sane. Because why would you be in a bus driving across the country? You have to be half crazy. Well, there was a woman who, for some reason, was always sitting in back of me, always complaining. And she was complaining about swelling, and she was swelling up in the bus, mainly because you don't move much in the bus. And she started to take her foot and put it up on the back of the seat and back at me. So I had this foot in my face, and she would ask me, look at my feet. Are they swelling up? Are my feet swelling up? This was traumatic. I'm still suffering from this. But really the parting shot was when she left the bus to get off wherever it was, in Wyoming or something, she handed me a bag and she said, I've saved a sandwich for you because you look like you're hungry. And off she went, got off the bus, and the bus continued on its way, and I decided, you know, wow, I'm through with her. But I was getting hungry. I opened up the bag. It is a half-eaten sandwich. And that was the last time I ever took a bus.